Of sounding good and running right, that's my buddy Gerald Celente. He is an American trends forecaster, publisher of the Trends Journal, business consultant, and author who makes predictions about the global financial markets and other events of historical importance. He has a couple tremendous publications that he is kind enough to send me. And the Trends Journal is one of those publications. He's been right on the money for so many things. And that my only problem with Gerald is he just can't really open up and express himself. He keeps it all inside, all bottled up, and I just can't, I can't get him to break out of his shell. Let's see how we can do today. Hi, Gerald. How are you, my friend? Hi, Gerald. How are you?
Good, Dan. How are you?
Good. He didn't hear any of that. Is that right, Kevin? Did he hear any of that?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Oh my gosh! Did you let me do a whole intro without him even hearing it?
Yep.
Well, I made you sound rather godlike, Gerald.
I promise it was a fantastic intro.
It was an unbelievable intro.
Well, thank you.
And the only thing I said at the end of the interview was, I said, the only problem I have with Gerald, even though he publishes the Trends Journal, he's been doing this for years. He is incredibly accurate. I said the only problem I have with Gerald is he doesn't open up, and I have a hard time getting him to break out of his shell. I said,
we're still in a new studio. Some of our guests are still guinea pigs a little bit while I iron out the wrinkles. I am sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right.
All right, brother. Well, nice to have you on, Gerald. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, I've got your latest Trends Journal. It is terrific. As always, I want to encourage people to go out to your website. Tell us the website they should see.
Trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. And not only do we have the Trends Journal, we do Trends in the News each evening, Monday through Friday, plus we have the Trends Monthly, and we have conferences here in Kingston, New York. As a matter of fact, they could log on and get our conference from December, which goes over the top trends of 2015, a 5.5-hour conference.
By the way, I just got to look at the buildings that you bought up there, and what a tremendous investment that is, and the story that you tell, the history of those two buildings. That's really the intersection of the United States.
It really is. We have three, actually. One is 1750, the other is 1763, and where we hold our conferences appropriately is at the Academy. And that's 1774. And the Academy, Governor DeWitt Clinton went there, John Vanderlyn, a famous Hudson River painter. So we're restoring them as best we can and bringing them back to life, and the life is there. So we're also holding on May 2nd at those four corners, Occupy Peace. And that is to honor thy founding fathers, which beginning with Washington, with his farewell address. And this is a real patriot. This is a man who fought not like these chicken hawks. And his farewell address is no foreign entanglements, along with Franklin, Jefferson, Madison, Adams. So we're going to hold this Occupy Peace rally, but we're having takeaways with it so that it's just not a rally where people yell and scream. But the objective is to bring home the troops, close the borders, and rebuild America in the spirit of what this nation was founded upon.
Gerald, we've really lost our way over the last 240, 250 years. We've lost our way in the last 30 or 40 or even 10 years, for goodness sakes. The average American is terrified what the government will do to them, as opposed to the government being terrified of what the American people will do to them. It's an amazing turnaround for a country who I don't think any of us, as we were growing up, ever thought we'd be in this position right now.
What you said is so important, and as though you were reading our new Trends Journal that's coming out within the next 2 weeks. And that is that what you just said is so profound that we had the World War II generation, and then, of course, the baby boom generation. And now what we have is the war on terror generation. You said it, fear. Fear and hysteria. And fear stops everything, and it stopped the growth of this nation. So you really nailed it when you said that, people are afraid of the government. They're afraid to walk down the street. They have people afraid of ISIS. They have people afraid of everything everything, including their own shadow. So this is a country that was the world beacon for freedom, liberty, and courage. And now look what we got. A bunch of little boys and girls calling them senators, congressmen, secretaries of this and that, telling us what we should do, how we should do it, and why we should do it. It's a disgrace.
We have Americans that are more terrified of an almost non-existent terrorist threat, more so than they are concerned over the control that the country exerts over our lives right now with the surveillance society, militarized police. If Americans only knew that they have no privacy in their homes, out on the middle of the street, in their cars, nowhere do they have any privacy. If they have no privacy, that means they can't talk, they can't communicate. Everything you say or do will eventually be used against you. And even my smartest conservative friends don't get that. They have said to the person, it's ISIS we need to focus on. We need to go take these people out. They won't even entertain the thought that we are already living in a world where we are completely controlled. We don't control our government anymore.
I want to read a quote to you from you. I was going over some notes last
go ahead.
night. I just came up from this. And this is from July of 2000. I am proud of the decision of this administration to overthrow Saddam Hussein. This is Secretary of State, former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice.
Right.
She said the Iraq War has been, quote, tougher than any of us really dreamed, end quote. Any of us really dreamed? Who are you? I'll tell you who you are. You're another one of these arrogant Princeton, Harvard, Yale people. That's who you are. It wasn't more than I dreamed. I got blacklisted from a lot of the major media for saying what would happen with the Iraq War. ISIS, does anybody have enough between their ears to figure this out in their brain? Why do they hate us? We only killed they killed over 1 million of Iraqis based on a war based on lies. Over 1 million. Destroyed an entire nation. Only several million refugees. Hey, how about that wonderful war Obama launched in Libya? Those ISIS people that they armed to overthrow Gaddafi? Son of a gun. Forgot all about that. Hey, how about we them, are bombing Syria?
300,000 people in Syria.
But guess what, Dan, how dare you mention that? They don't count as much as 17 civilians killed in France.
Oh, yeah.
They is white people. Oh, the war on terror. Oh, the war on terror. Get it in your head. Payback's a bitch. Hey, how about do unto others as you would have them do unto you? Hey, how about Afghanistan? Lovely little war. Only the longest in American history. I almost couldn't make it today to this show because Obama called victory over there, and I was going to go down to the city and go to the victory parade on Wall Street. But they didn't show up. Where are the victory parades? This is a disgrace. The fish rots from the head down. And one after another, from Gingrich to Obama, from Pelosi to Reid, from Feinstein to Boner, every one of them, Bushes, Clintons, they are traitors to this country. They are traitors to the American spirit. They are traitors to the Founding Fathers, and they are traitors to the Constitution. And guess what? I don't have to worry anymore about speaking my mind because I heard Obama and all these other flunky fake frauds say, hey, what happened in France, it's our recognition for freedom of speech. So guess what? I'm free to call Obama a fraud and a disgrace to this country, as well as 99.9% of Congress.
It's funny.
I don't know the 0.1. So I just want to be, I want to be fair.
I was making notes during your conversation. It's funny. The notes that I talked about were Obama and Cameron getting together as a result of this you call it a tragedy. 20 people get killed in Paris, but in France. But that's only 20 people out of 7 billion. And our president, kind of like he wants to use Sandy Hook or he wants to use the Boston bombing, he wants to use these small, isolated instances where, relatively speaking, the damage was small, but the damage that he wants to do to our Constitution, Cameron just wants to eviscerate any rights that the folks in England have, and they want to get together and listen to everything we say and do. They want the technology companies to give up on all of their encryption data, and they think now is the time to relaunch SOPA and CISPA and all that. We don't have to get into the details. All that is to give the people in government, one or two or three or four or five people, complete control over every communication avenue that we have. And we have people now, friends of mine, saying what a great idea SOPA is, what a great idea CISPA is, and thank God Cameron and Obama got together and they can finally agree on something. What a bunch of horse hooey.
Yep. Heil Obama. That's what this is. No, it's disgusting. And as you pointed out, all the facts, and guess what? People ask me all the time, you're always talking about the problems with the economy, geopolitics. What's a good business to get into? Well, you just went over it. Propaganda. You could do it cheaply and stupidly, and it works. Great results. Obama's poll popularity rating now is back to 50% and moving higher. People, hey, we got them North Koreans, huh? They hacked into Sony. The American company called it. Boy, am I stupid. I thought Japan owned Sony. What a moron I am. But everybody says Obama says they're American company. Every one of the prostitutes out there call it American company. Well, I thought Sony was Japanese. Hey, how come the Japanese didn't come after Sony? I'll tell you why. The whole thing is a fraud, and the people buy it.
False flags everywhere, Gerald. The idea of blaming North Korea is not a blameless society for bad things that they do.
But it's none of our business.
But what's happening right now is a lie to the American people. Obama knew it's a lie. Now the market knows it's a lie. I think that lie has made it through people that I know. I think they finally understand that North Korea did not hack Sony. I think they do.
But you see, here's the deal, Dan. I've said this over and over again. When all else fails, they take you to war. And the failure in the markets is before us. Do you see what happened in Shanghai, the Shanghai index today? It's down some 8%. 8%. Imagine if our markets went down 8%. Hardly making the news. The bubble is burst over there. Oh, yeah, the Macau gambling over there, that's down over there. Yeah, because they're gambling on the equity markets. Look what's going on with oil prices. Oh, they're getting Russian. No, they're not. It has nothing to do with it. It's supply and demand. There's too much supply and not enough demand, but not only in oil, in copper. What's copper prices down now? 5.5-year lows?
Yep.
Oh, China, going back to China with their real estate bubble has burst. They consume 40% of all copper mined each year. You look at iron ore, look at nickel, look at every one of the natural resource rich countries' exports. They are all going down because China is going down fast.
Gerald, we're going to have to take a break. I know you're going to come back with us, but before we take this break, I want to read you an email that I just received, and it's something we can come back and chat about, too. It's from a gentleman in Ukraine, and which I'm very pleased people in Ukraine are listening to the show. He said, could you explain to me, and I've got to interpret this a little bit, can you explain to me why the U.S. keep helping the Ukrainian army kill civilians? Both my cousins and sisters are hiding in the basement for 3 months while their husbands are trying to push back the Ukrainian artillery. Let's see. Why is America blaming Russia for this? And it goes on. But this is happening in real time. The stories that are being told are not the stories that are happening. I'm not a pro-Russia guy, but I am very much a pro-truth guy. And this is happening not only in Ukraine, it's happening in Syria, but it's happening in the U.S. right now. Gerald, will you be kind enough to stay on for another segment with us?
I can, yes.
All right, my friend. We're going to be right back after this break with Gerald Celente here on the Dan Cofall Show, dancofall.com. Don't go anywhere. Central banks guarantee that inflation is in the cards. Risks have never been greater and yields have never been lower. How do you ensure your financial future? Gold and silver, especially at today's lower prices, are the best investment insurance you can buy. For 5,000 years, gold has been a vessel of wealth preservation over all other investments. Invest in the real wealth that is gold bullion. We are the Metals Vault. We provide outstanding pricing and service that is second to none. Call us today at 855-REAL-WEALTH. That's the Metals Vault, 855-REAL-WEALTH, a proud sponsor of the Dan Cofall Show.
This is the Dan Cofall Show, a place where liberty and freedom ring.
Okay, we are honored to have Gerald Celente on with us today. He's been just a consistent guest of ours over the last 5 or 6 years. One of my favorite guests. He is he's right on the money. He's crystal clear with his analysis and entertaining to boot. With a great publication called Trends Journal. You can go out to hold on, I keep losing the website. Trendsjournal.com. Is that right?
Yes, it is, Dan.
There you go. You'd think I've written so many things down for us to talk about, and I forgot to write down the absolute basics. So I apologize, Gerald.
That's enough. That's okay.
All right, good stuff. Now, so if I can, I want to go to a couple things on your list of top trends for 2015. May we do that?
Yeah, I'd like to answer that gentleman's question.
Oh, great. Okay.
About Ukraine.
Yeah.
All anybody has to do is this: go to YouTube. 2013, December, put in Victoria Nuland, N-U-L-A-N-D. She's the Assistant Secretary of State for the United States. She just returned from Kiev. And here she is at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. Over her left shoulder is the Chevron sign, who just signed a $11 billion fracking deal in Ukraine. And over her right is ExxonMobil. And here she is telling the people that the future of Ukraine is Europe, and Ukrainians are Europeans, which I'm sure is, news to over a third of the country, but be that as it may. And her husband, his name is, you could Google this one up, a neocon, fascist, slimy human being called Robert Kagan. And Robert, I will call you that to your face. Now, she also says that the path for Ukraine is to follow the one set forth by the International Monetary Fund. This is 4 months before the overthrow of the Yanukovych government. And people can also go on and put Nuland's name along with Jeffrey Pyatt, P-Y-A-T-T, the ambassador, American ambassador to Ukraine, that were caught on a cell phone talking about the overthrow of how they were going to overthrow Yanukovych and put in, quote, Yatsenyuk, who became the prime minister.
Right.
So it's all there for everybody. And to make it even better, Burisma Energy is the largest energy company in Ukraine. They just appointed recently 2 new members to their board of directors. One is R. Hunter, I got a coke habit, Biden, Joe Biden's son.
That's right.
The other one is Secretary of State John Kerry's stepson, Christopher Hines, of the 57 variety kind, his business partner, Devon Archer. Both of them were now on the board of directors of the biggest energy company in Ukraine. And do you know why, Dan?
Why is that?
Because they is the most qualified people in the whole world. Just ask the Secretary of State's spokesperson, that little shill. That's what's going on here. It's a takeover. It's a neocon, multinational IMF takeover. And here's the other part of the deal. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the deal was between Gorbachev and Reagan, and Dr. Paul Craig Roberts told me this firsthand,
right,
the former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Reagan, that the USSR would give back East Germany to Germany in exchange for NATO not expanding any further than they were. And Slick Willie Clinton welched on that deal like he did with everything else, selling out this country with NAFTA, with killing the Glass-Steagall Act, et cetera, et cetera. And then George Bush and then Obama. They all reneged on the deal. And now it would be like if Russia was up in Canada and down in Mexico. How would we like it?
Oh, I'm with you. The whole idea of saying I love America. I love what American people stand for. I love how our country was founded and what the principles of this country are. I don't like our current government. That doesn't mean I like the Russian government or the Chinese government or anybody else's government, but I don't like my government, and that's 537 people in Washington right now. I don't like what they're doing to the rest of the world in my name as a citizen in this country.
Amen. I'm with you. I'm an American. I only care about my country. I want my money going nowhere other than here. I mean, people in Detroit can't pay for their water or electricity. 54,000 are losing their homes because they can't pay their taxes. And you're going to fix what's going on in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. I mean, come on. So again, I'm an American. These people are traitors to the founding fathers and everything this country was founded upon.
Gerald,
and that's why, by the way, I bought those historic buildings on the most historic corner in the United States. Because this is my country. Love it or leave it, let them leave it. I love it.
So what do we have to look forward to, Gerald? You're the preeminent forecaster in this country.
Here's one of the things I see coming up.
Okay.
One of the ways I made my name as a trend forecaster when I wrote Trends 2000 in the late 80s and forecast a new third party. And I mentioned Ross Perot for some reason.
Right.
I believe that we're going to see a new third party emerge in 2016. And I believe that it will be a real threat to the established parties, which I call the Bloods and the Crips, because they're both murderers and thieves. How many more people do they have to murder around the world in the name of freedom and democracy? And how much more money of ours do they have to steal in names of bailing out their buddies and too big to fail, tax breaks, loan guarantees, and on, and dirty deals? I really believe that's the way out. And one of the things we're going to do with the Occupy Peace movement that we're doing on May 2nd from the 4 historic corners is that we're going to have takeaways. This isn't a rally to scream and yell. It's a rally to rebuild America, honoring our founding fathers and what Eisenhower warned us about. 5-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces in World War II, and 2-term president. The military-industrial complex is robbing us of the genius of the scientists, the sweat of the laborers, and the future of the children. So that's what we're going to do. And we believe that it can change. And it's up to we the people. Look at the UKIP movement in the UK, threatening the 2 established parties. Look at the Podemos movement that came out of nowhere, and in a year they could now head the Spanish government that has emerged just, again, within a year. Look what's going on in Italy with the Northern League and the 5-star movement, in Germany, in Greece, in one country after another. If they can do it, we can do it. Look who our opposition is. How could any self-respecting human being who's listening to your show look up to Obama, to Hillary Clinton, to Bill Clinton, to George Bush, to Dianne Not-So-Feinstein, to Harry Reid, to Pelosi, to Boner? How could people look up to them and think that they know more than they do?
Gerald, I've always said that you could go in and eliminate, and I don't mean that violently. I just mean take them out of office, 537 people in Washington, and randomly select 537 Americans, and you would have a better Congress, a better president, a better vice president. Hell, you could throw the Supreme Court into that too. I would rather go with 537 unknown people than I would the Congress the way it has been corrupted right now.
I'm with you. And you really nailed it with the Supreme Court. Not so supreme. What a bunch of flunkies and losers. What a disgrace. We're the Supreme Court. Take it easy, Jack. They're traitors to the Constitution, destroyers of the Bill of Rights, and they've raped our Declaration of Independence. They are traitors to everything that this great nation was founded upon. As I make it clear, my blood is Italian, but my heart's American. I could never be who I am if I wasn't born and raised in this country. And now these people are destroying everything that made this nation the most envied nation in the world and the true land of opportunity.
Gerald, how much credence do you put behind the thought that the folks in Washington have either been bought off or blackmailed or are incompetent? I have a hard time feeling that it's all incompetency. I think that to get all these people to go along, the reason I say that, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. The reason I say this, things like the NDAA win 93-7. The stuff that's close is insignificant. The stuff that is really bad for this country gets an overwhelming majority of votes. How can I not assume that the folks in Washington have been bought off and are being blackmailed or leveraged right now?
I think they're all three. All three. They're not. I began my career. I used to run political campaigns in Westchester County in New York. It was the richest county in the country at the time, early 70s. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate at 23. I designed and instructed American politics and campaign technology at St. John's University. And I was a chief government affairs specialist for a big part of the chemical industry in D.C. I used to work from Chicago to D.C. I've been around these guys. They're not that bright. They're shrewd. They're psychopaths and sociopaths. You can buy them off really cheaply. It doesn't take a lot. These are the people you couldn't stand in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council. But they're a little bit worse because they got bad attitudes. When you look at who's running the government, you could do it with three names: Harvard, Princeton, Yale. They're all better than we are. All guys and women that are born on third base and thought they hit a triple. They're the entitled ones. They've accomplished nothing other than sliding home, and Papa laid the groundwork for them to do it, and they got handed a free ride, and they think they're better than the rest of us.
When you talk about being bought off cheap, the one that comes immediately to mind was Mary Landrieu during the Obamacare vote. She was bought off for $300 million worth of support to her state. The money didn't even go to her. It went $300 million insignificant dollars to her state, and she changed the way this country will forever deal with medical claims. Now, somebody's going to argue with somebody else's vote. Every one of those bastards who voted for Obamacare had been paid off in some way or another. And you're right, how cheap those votes were. But what a terrible, terrible cost to the country.
Yeah, I saw it firsthand when I was there. So as a matter of fact, when I worked up in the New York State Senate, it was the worst job I ever had. I'd be hanging out in the back of the chamber. I was a young guy. And, talking with my buddy, and all of a sudden a senator would walk in and my friend would leave me and follow the senator like a little puppy dog and pull out his chair and push it back in when he sat down, and he'd come back. And I'd say, "Hey, man, what's the matter? Cat can't sit down by himself? He needs some help?" All it was watching grown men and women grovel all day to suck their way up to the top. And that's all these people are. They're suck-ups, bow-downs, and sellouts.
Gerald, I'm going to skip the break that we had here, and I've got just about 2 or 3 more minutes for you. Let me ask you this. Do you think there's going to be a 2016 election, or do you think we'll have some form of martial law, some form of control before then?
It could happen, because the way they did this deal over there in France, and how that you could see how the whole nation clamped down, troops in the streets. Like, I have a French friend I just talked to her Saturday. The place is on like alert, and so you can see how easily it's done. You saw what they did in Belgium. You see what's going on around in Italy. So I think that whether it's a false flag or real, something is going to happen. Remember, when all else fails, they take you to war. And again, as we're speaking, we just saw the Shanghai Index crashed some almost 8%.
Oh, huge.
The global economy is in a meltdown. So I think they may well do something. And again, look how people, they bought the Bush stuff when it happened with him. Look with France, they got Hollande. He has a 16% approval rating. Excuse me, a 12%. And now he's the hero. So you can see how easily it changes. And as I just mentioned before, Obama's approval rating now is going above 50%.
Well, that's because he's getting ready to give away 2 years worth of junior college, and he's going to buy whatever votes he needs. One thing though about going to war, and we can close on this. War used to be the United States against other countries. Then it got to the point where the United States stepped in either by themselves or with proxy forces and fought wars. But the war, I believe, that's coming to America soon is the war about this government fighting its own American people on American soil. That's the war that I'm concerned about.
I'm with you. I am too. And by the way, that's what we've been writing about. Why do you think they're doing this in Europe? The whole place is collapsing over there. We're going to see this weekend what the ECB is going to do in terms of quantitative easing. You have an unemployment rate, youth unemployment between 40 and 50% around Europe. So what they're doing there, they're getting the people ready for the troops on the street.
That's right.
The people are ready to rebel. That's all this is.
That is precisely right, Gerald. You saw what happened in Switzerland when they pulled the floor out from underneath the euro this week. You saw what happened in Japan yesterday and today when they said no more quantitative easing. That will end Japan as we know it. You've got the Chinese facing massive recession and really depression right now. And the United States can't be the only country out there. One last thing. There's two ways this can go. Half the people are banking on the fact that the government will never let the United States go into a recession or a depression. They'll continue to print money because they don't want to be at the helm of a losing proposition. The other side, and I've kind of worked my way over to the other side, says no, they want this country to fail. They will not bail it out because they want to get hold of as many assets as cheaply as they can. I think I'm in the latter category.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but on the other end of it is that's why I believe gold prices are going back up, because of this massive instability and no way out. And you know me, I'm bullish on gold and have been for, I bought my first buy of gold at $187.50 back in 1978.
Oh, sure.
An ounce. So I think that's another part of it as well. So I think it's a combination of the two that you said. They don't know what to do. Again, you go back and read the Fed minutes. They wait 5 years before they release them. What a joke. What a disgusting freedom and democracy, huh? Yeah, private bank running our country. And the other one, how come we can't see the gold in Fort Knox? How come they won't let we the people look at it?
Well, they won't let the Germans look at it. They won't let anybody else look at it. They won't even let the Germans touch it or look at it.
I know. And I love the Germans, too. Well, we're getting it back a little bit at a time. What, they bring it over? Carrier pigeon?
Gerald, we are out of time, my friend. You have been a gentleman to stay on with us as long as you have. Our audience loves you, and I have loved the conversations we've had for 6 or 7 years. The Gerald Celente, the publication is Trends Journal. Website is trendsjournal.com. Go out and read more of Gerald's work and subscribe to his publications and attend his conferences. He is a true American, and he is fearless, and I appreciate the fact that you come on the show like this and that I can call you a friend, Gerald. Thank you very much.
And thank you likewise, and thank you for all that you do and how you stand up for truth and what this country was founded upon and morality. Thank you so much.
All right, my friend. God bless, and we'll talk again soon. All right, let's take a quick break, Kevin. We'll come right back.
Would you like to see how real professionals manage money and risk? Hi, this is Danny Stewart, President and Chief Investment Officer at NORAM Asset Management. At NORAM, we employ tested and proven stock and option strategies to maximize success while limiting downside risk. If you would like to visit us during live market hours, we would be happy to show you how we work. To schedule a time, just go to noramasset.com or call me at 855-REAL-WEALTH. Again, that's 855-REAL-WEALTH.
The Dan Cofall Show, the reality show of radio.
Listen, let me
Gerald Celente is one of my absolute favorites, and it's always a pleasure to have him on. And also, our listenership really goes up when we have Gerald on.
It's a nice little spike there.
Yeah, it's nice to have him on board. We'll have to get him on more often and get him more involved in the show. Okay, just a couple quick things left. You know by now, I'm just going to mention this because we're going to cover it later in the week. You know by now that the biggest sponsor of they should have T-shirts and they should have had billboards. Ferguson riots sponsored by George Soros. $33 million is what he gave to keep the riots and other things going in Ferguson.
That is quite an endorsement.
Quite an endorsement. We ought to have, somebody ought to give him some television time or some radio time and billboards and other things. I would think that would be a very good thing to do. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. Chinese stocks are crashing. We have a huge drop in Shanghai. We're out of time here. One last thing. It looks as though Attorney General Holder has moved to end civil asset forfeitures. Now, the first thing you're going to have to ask yourself is, A, is this true? Second thing you're going to have to ask yourself is, why would he do this? And we'll know more tomorrow, but I'm curious why the civil forfeitures we talked about earlier or late last week, why the U.S. government is putting the kibosh on that. Folks, we had a great day. We had some great guests. We'll have more of that this week. Stick around. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. God bless.